and welcome to The Way I See It. It's been a minute and a half, hasn't it, since I've been here? I have missed doing my podcast, and it has been such an issue. It has been so difficult to get to series 2 of my podcast. I mean, everything that could just not happen or stand in the way just happened. Couldn't get to studio, couldn't arrange for my cameraman, and then when I did even get to record, every recording had a problem. I'd record a show and then it'd say the I needed to format the disc, so I had to wipe it off, or I'd record it and something was wrong. I mean, everything just went wrong, and you know what? And also, like, I wasn't in my studio, and I just it just wasn't, everything didn't align basically. And I've just decided, I am determined to get this podcast off the ground. And it reminded me of a chapter in my book, Running Chronicles 21 Lessons I Learned from Running, which will help you which will keep you from ever giving up. Um, there's a section in there where I talk about the tools, right? And it's one where I was running with, and my running shoe had a hole in it at the top. But well, it worked as a running shoe, so I kept running with a hole in it, and I'm like, I just can't be bothered to buy a new pair of shoes. I just didn't like the idea of having to shop for new shoes, so I just kept running in them. And then on my birthday, my son bought me a new pair of shoes, and it was like, well, use what you have, right? You don't have to have all the tools in the at the in place before you run, before you do what you need to do. So just keep moving. And so that's why I've decided, what, everything is not in place for my podcast to be perfect. Like, I want it to be perfect, right? I want it to be perfect. I want to be in the right studio and everything. But I'm just going to get started with these tools. And then as once the tools get back into place, then I will do that, because, it's stopping me from doing my podcast. And that makes no sense, because I have a lot that I want to say, that I want to share. And like Jeremiah said in the Bible, I decided not to speak when the Lord asked me to. I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting. And the words were like fire in my bones, and they were burning. So I feel like that. I feel like I have a lot of things to say, and not being able to do my podcast is just driving me crazy. So I'm starting where I am. So thank you for joining me. But before I get on to my podcast, I'm just going to go back and talk about my book, which I mentioned, Running Chronicles. The first series of my podcast featured my book, Running Chronicles, right? And at that time, the title was Running Chronicles, 21 Lessons I Learned from Running, right? And I featured, the whole book on that series. But just to let you know, I've gone back and I've changed the name, because Running Chronicles 21 Lessons I Learned from Running kind of limits it to me. I learned it from running, but actually I learned it from running, and I'm sharing it with you so that you can make good decisions, or you can be inspired, you can be motivated, you can be encouraged. So the book is now called Running Chronicles 21 Lessons I Learned from Running to Keep You from Ever Giving Up. So do take a look at that. It's on Amazon. Order it. Read it every morning. Inspire yourself. Be encouraged, all right? To just keep moving and never give up. That's where your power is, not quitting. All right. So as you know, this episode or this podcast is called The Way I See It with me, Nanaooguntola. So it's the way I see it in terms of how I see the world, how I interpret the world. I believe that my voice is different, the way I see things is different, the way I approach things is different. My experiences are different. Like, I don't know anyone with experiences like mine, no matter how close we are. So that's what it is. It is the way I see it. And this episode actually is starting with me talking about artificial intelligence, right? I mean, how do you escape that? That is an issue. That is huge. It's humongous. And I am really excited about it. And I'm going to talk about a new product from OpenAI and Sam Altman called Sora. Sora is a filmmaking AI tool, right? And the first time I heard about it was on a young man's channel called Marcus Brownlee, right? He was talking about Sora. And I was really excited, because this tool allows you to make films using artificial intelligence. And the quality of it was really high. And like Marcus was saying, this is the worst it will ever be, so it's only going to improve. And it had textures and layers, and it had expressions, and just different layers to it. It wasn't like just just on one plane, right? And I was really excited. And for me, it meant three things, right? One, it's going to make filmmaking cheaper for me and for us as filmmakers. It's going to make film. So instead of having to travel to Brazil or the Gambia or Australia, you can actually create those scenes on Sora, right? And whilst you're sitting where you are, I mean, that makes production cheaper, and it takes away the whole idea of location, of distance. And it reminded me of I think it was Gigawatt who was talking about the death of distance when the internet just came in. And I was like, well, if Gigawatt was around now to see Zora and what that can do, I wonder what he'll call it, because this is truly the death of distance. Like, you sit here and you can create a scene in any part of the world. So that was really exciting in terms of cost. Now, I am very aware that that then impacts on people's livelihood, because why would I pay a cameraman to go to Paris and shoot me the Eiffel Tower when I can sit here and recreate it, right? Why would I want to buy stock images when I can create it, right? So for me, I think that yes, it's going to impact on jobs, but I think this is an opportunity. This is the beginning of something amazing and new. And it's not this Pandora baby. If this Pandora's box is open, it's not going back. So it is an opportunity for people who can adapt and adopt early, innovation early. This is your opportunity as a camera person, because as a camera person, you already have, or as a DOP, you already have certain skills and eye, you already have this technical awareness of the way a shot should look, right? You have all the angles and all the the grids and things like that you know better than me. That's not what I do. But you know all these things. You know about layering. You know about the sequences and the different spatial makeup of a scene. That's your skill. You already know it. So who would be better placed to use AI as a generative tool than you as a camera person? So I can go and tell Zora, okay, create these scenes for me, but I will not get it as right as you, the person who's skilled in camera work. So instead of complaining about how Zora might be taking your work, why don't you upskill yourself in the language of generative AI? In the language, and what is it that I need to put into AI to give it, to make sure that the shots come out like it was a natural camera work or camera person, to make it so good that everybody comes to me because they know that I use my skills as a camera person and generative AI to create something amazing. So I mean, that's just my thoughts. Like, it might be too simple. Somebody might just rubbish that. I don't know. But I think that that's one of the skills and one of the jobs that AI will create, people that can write the right prompts, right? Because that is your skill and you can see it better. You can layer it better. You know what to see. You know when you frame a shot, what's in it, right? Therefore, you know when you generate a prompt what you want to see. I think that that's the skill. And I think that people who already do camera are better placed and best placed to utilize this skill or utilize this AI or utilize this tool. So that's just one thing that I wanted to say about AI. That's the first thing about Sora that is going to reduce costs for me as a filmmaker. Two, the other thing, and all of us filmmakers. The second thing is I'm really excited about it because I run Film Academy Milton Keynes, right? We teach young people to make films. And I think that it's really exciting because now we can actually teach young people to use AI to make their films. I think that is really important that we place young people at the cusp of technology and growth, in order to ensure that they're future ready. They're not afraid of what AI will bring. They're not afraid of the future, but they can use AI as an extension of what they do, right? They can use AI as an enhancer of what they do. They can use it. They're not afraid of bring it into themselves rather than seeing it as a threat, right? And so I'm really excited about that. And once I get my hands on Sora, I think we will be using it this summer. So OpenAI and Sam Altman and co. I've already written an email to Sam Altman, and OpenAI. Look, if you're looking for an academy, an educational establishment to test out AI, Film Academy Milton Keynes. I am so keen to get my hand on that tool for our young people, so that they just start to speak this language, so that they become even better equipped. So really exciting, because I think that we should teach that. I think we should teach using AI alongside traditional methods of of filmmaking, so that our young people are equipped. They know both. They know when to bring in, AI into their analog filmmaking. They know when to use, they're able to speak the language. They're able to enhance what they do. So I'm really excited about it. And that's the second reason, I'm excited about Sora. Now, the third reason I'm excited about Sora is because it's very, very relevant to my doctoral research right now. The first time I encountered AI really kind of quite up close was during my executive MBA in the creative industries. We were taken to Silicon Valley in San Francisco. I visited NVIDIA, Google, IBM, and other massive players in that tech AI space, and I was blown away. I was blown away. I was curious. I was excited. Oh my God, when um, the Bible says when Elizabeth saw Mary, the baby in her womb jumped for joy. Yeah, that was where I was. It touched me. It touched me to my very core. So I was like, I hope that I can find a way to get involved with artificial intelligence and AI somewhere, somehow. And of course, timing and God. The Bible says that the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. And I really believe that. And of course, now my doctorate is on AI. My doctorate is looking at the education of filmmaking. So we teach young people to make films, right? We teach them, script writing, development, casting, crewing, filming, editing, and things like that. And it's a very traditional way of filmmaking. For example, sometimes some of our films are themed, right? So we could be making films about knife crime, or we could be making films about Black history, or hate crime, or peer pressure, or successful people, that kind of thing. So when it's themed like that, when young people come in, I kind of see the whole process like a funnel, right? So they come in and we just put information into them about what it is they're going to be learning about. And then, of course, they research it, and they create new lines of knowledge. Mazura calls it, schema, developing their schema. So they learn new things, and then it becomes part of them. And then they become the communicators, because now they have to think about how they're going to communicate these ideas, these new things that they have learned to other people. And then, of course, afterwards, I think that they become ambassadors, right? They're ambassadors for knife crime, because now they can talk about it to anybody else, apart from the fact that their film continues to be shown and screened and shared. So that's our filmmaking process, right? My research is going to look at how, if we introduce artificial intelligence into any part of the process of filmmaking, so how they learn, right? Who's teaching them, where they're getting this information, how the process of filmmaking itself, right? Does that create an impact? Does that make any change to the way the students learn? One, if we use artificial intelligence as part of the production process, cue Sora. If we use like an artificial intelligence tool like Sora in the filmmaking production itself, where young people are using AI to produce their film, they're not just going out and shooting with film on their camera, they're using AI to create, they're generating the film. Does that change their behavior? Does that change the impact of the process or of the learning? Does that change the response? Does that change the sense of ownership? What does using AI in production mean for young people when they use it, right? Finally, the third part of the doctorate, we're going to show the films to an audience without telling them this is AI, or without telling them which one is AI and which one isn't. And the idea then is to see the response. Is the response different to either of the films? Do they know? Can they tell? What difference does it, what's the difference in response? So that's my doctorate, and that's the reason why I'm really excited about Sora coming out right now, because I can see that slam bang in the middle of my doctorate being used as a tool by the filmmakers, to see how using AI as part of production would change response, or may not. I mean, we might be the ones just hullabalooing about how it's evil, not good, scary, will take our jobs, etc. Young people just might not care, because this is the generation, they're born into this generation. So I definitely want to go into this research very open-minded, right? Just to find out how, what happens rather than go in with prescribed ideas. But that is the third reason why I'm so excited about Sora. So I know this has probably been, I don't know, quite reflexive and quite self-indulgent because it's talking about me quite a lot. It is. But this is the way I see it. And it's just my exploration and thoughts around the use of artificial intelligence in creativity, in creative work, in creative output. I am really excited about it. And in fact, my new book is called 20 African Queens Every Young Girl Should Learn About. And my images, my illustration in that book are all by Midjourney and the AI. So I am somebody who's really embracing AI and its capabilities, and because I think, well, it's cheaper, but also I think it allows us to do more with less. We can, you can enhance what you do. You can augment what you do with artificial intelligence. So I'm quite excited about it. So I don't know, I hope that this has been interesting for you. I would really like to know what you think about AI. I would like you, in the comments, if you have time, if you can, to tell me what you think about AI. Are you afraid of it? Are you anxious? Are you trepidatious? Are you excited? Are you curious? Will you use it? Do you use it? How do you find it? Is it easy? How do you do your prompts? Do you find the prompts easy? And I have to say, it's been interesting, but that's for another episode or another podcast where I talk about the whole experience of creating these generative AI illustrations from my book. The whole experience has been interesting, but yeah, I mean, it has its moments, but all in all, I think once we can get the ethics around it right and the rules around it right, I think we have a very, very exciting opportunity in front of us. So that's the way I see it today. Just me exploring AI. And this is my very first episode of my podcast back. So I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Do subscribe, and I will see you here next week.